The Michelin name is synonymous with quality around the world, yet many who appreciate the performance of numerous Michelin products are unaware that the company's first tire product was a bicycle tire in 1891, when the Michelin brothers patented the first detachable bicycle bead tire. To this day, Michelin continues to innovate and produce world-class products for road bicycles, mountain bikes, and specifically designed products for e-mountain bikes, like the Michelin E-Wild tire. It's the tire of choice for my team, the Impact Results EMTB team that's competing in the 2021 EMTB GNCC National Championship. This partnership will enable the team and its riders to showcase the performance, versatility, and durability of the Michelin E-Wild tires during our efforts to defend and pursue even more championships. Also for 2021, Michelin is introducing many exciting new products like the Michelin Force AM2 tire and the Michelin Wild AM2 tire designed for a variety of mountain bike terrains, as well as, this one I'm excited about, the Michelin Pilot SX and the Michelin Pilot SX Slick tire specifically for world-class level BMX racers like Connor Fields, even Darkside, or myself. Follow at Michelin Bicycle on Instagram or learn more about their extensive range of bicycle products by checking out their website or obviously engaging with them on social. Again, it's at Michelin Bicycle on Instagram.
Welcome to the Moto Marketing Podcast, presented by RacerX, the podcast for moto industry professionals, entrepreneurs, and riders. If you want to grow your brand and business in today's digital-first world, you have to know how to turn a stranger into a fan, turn a like into a customer. You have to know how to turn attention into dollars. This podcast is dedicated to keeping you in the know on real marketing tactics that work in the moto world so that you grow your business and help grow the sport. Get ready to learn from the very same marketing experts trusted by RacerX, Lucas Oil Pro Motocross, GNCC, and NBC Sports. They'll help you navigate the world of digital marketing for your moto brand. This is the Moto Marketing Podcast. Presented by RacerX.
All right, everybody, welcome back to another episode of the Moto Marketing Podcast. Before we get started, I want to let you guys know of a special that RacerX is running right now. If you subscribe or renew, you're going to get one of these awesome decal sheets, which I obviously love decals as a kid. So if you're into them, if your kid's into them, it's something really cool. You can go to racerxonline.com/Moto Marketing. Well, we've had a few guests that have been very, very highly requested. Today is probably the highest requested one that we've had, and it's an honor and a privilege to have him on. We have one of the most well-known individuals in the sport. We have Troy Lee, obviously with Troy Lee Designs, with us today, and someone that I'm very excited for him to share his story with us. So, Troy, man, what a pleasure to have you on the show. We appreciate you making some time for us.
Thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
So we always like to just start these episodes with, the little bit of a background on how you got into the sport. You're obviously an extremely talented artist, and how did you take that and move into moto? If you don't mind sharing that story.
Yeah, I mean, it really all started with kind of born into it. My grandfather, helped start Bonneville and NHRA, Marvin Lee. Born in Pasadena, and so I've been around racing all my life. My dad, raced boats and cars, and not so much cars, but drag raced when he was young, and then boats, and then it went into motorcycles, and then I kind of started riding motorcycles as me and my brother as a young kid, and racing even BMX a little bit here, and then started painting my friends' helmets, Jeff Ward's and Danny Magoo's, and kind of all organically, and luckily, nobody was really painting helmets back then too much. And, I remember my first helmets were like $40, and I'd put a couple stripes on them and a name and a number. And it was just kind of moving it from electrical tape to paint,
Yeah.
And then I just did an interview yesterday with Jim Busby, and he really gave me my start in the car racing, because I lived in Laguna Beach, and I was racing at Saddleback at the time, but painting his Porsches, and he had drag cars, and then he started doing the Camel GT series, and yesterday he brought out his helmet that I was the first one I painted. My dad came back and pinstriped it afterwards. So I wasn't the best at lettering or pinstriping. That was kind of my dad's forte. And, but I could spray the colors out, me and my brother, and we did all of his Porsches and for Le Mans and all that kind of stuff. And really just started painting my own helmets and I painted my motorcycles, my Suzuki's white, and made my own leathers at Bates and made my own jerseys. And, still doing the same thing today, really just having more fun and a different level and making a little more product than I was, the onesie twosie pieces days are over.
Yeah. Oh, I'm sure it's clearly a completely different level today. When did it go from a hobby and something that you were really talented at to, man, I'm not only am I making a name for myself in this niche to, I mean, it was a full blown business that you really pursued. Do you remember if there was that monumental, that shift or that one time that stands out to you?
Well, I was really welding pipes for Mitch Payton and racing the Husqvarnas for him, for Anaheim Husky. And that's when I was kind of painting Jeff Jennings and Dan Ashcraft and myself. Steve Wiseman, I think, was on the team. So I just started painting all of our friends kind of that were all racing out of Anaheim Husqvarna. And I was welding pipes for him too at his parents' house in Norco. And then I did some helmets for Jody Weisel for Motocross Action. And that kind of really, he gave me a little business card ad in the back. And every time I'd come home from welding pipes, I saw a couple more helmets at the door, and so I'd paint those on the weekend. And then the helmets kept showing up at the door, and I had to hire a friend of mine, Randy Flesher, to come help at the pipe shop. And I told Mitch, Mitch, I'd rather paint. I'd rather be an artist than weld pipes for my whole life, and I think I might be onto something. And so Mitch has always been great, man. I've helped him design his motocross team stuff, and he printed my first T-shirt for me, So I just painted helmets out of my house for the first 4 or 5 years till the neighbors got too mad that I was working too late at night and fumes are going everywhere. And I moved into an airplane hangar here in Corona.
That's awesome. It's I think one of the most interesting things about your story, and I'd love to kind of get your take on it, is I find it's rare that somebody's a really good artist and a really good business person. It's usually you pick a lane, and you're obviously, you might say you're more talented in one area than another, but you're really savvy. You're an expert at both. I mean, you're an insanely talented artist, and you're clearly, a thing or two about business, because not only is your business grown, but now you're running one of the hottest teams in the sport, and you have for quite some time now. When do you feel that you got that business mind? Was it just you learned as you went? Did you always have that entrepreneurial bug in addition to just being an artist as well?
I don't know. I've always kind of just kept it simple, I mean, I think the racers have really, if I made something, and visors were one of the first things I made. I made those. We just did a story yesterday about it, but I made those in my mom's oven, kind of vacuum forming the visors for the helmets, and I just kept it real simple. You buy something for, pay $5 for it. You got to double your money on it,
Yeah, right.
And I think I've always done testing all the products that I do. I kind of put it out on my friends and my racers, and if they love it, then I'm like, well, shoot, if they love it, then the rest of the world should love it. So that means we should make it,
Yeah.
So I just keep it real simple.
Yeah.
And then I definitely surround myself with great people. Even my artists now are everyone. I've just tell them, I says, if I'm better than you, then you're going to get fired. You need to be better than me.
That's awesome.
Keep it real simple like that. But I keep surrounding myself. My family's helped me a lot. My sister, my Bill Keefe, Tyler runs my team. My nephew. I'm super stoked to have Max, my son, in there working with Tyler now and working with Barsha and all the product. I want to keep doing this. I'm not looking at slowing down here, but I definitely want to keep surrounding myself with great people.
Yeah.
I think for the first time in my life here, I'm going to try to take a couple months off here and maybe just go to, I don't know, lock myself up and just go paint canvas and ride my mountain bike and play a little bit here. But usually the longest vacation I've taken is a week, but I'm going to try to do something a little more this year.
Yeah. Well, I'd say you deserve it at this point. That's cool. I mean, you realize that people are the key to success, and you want the people to be better than you are, and that's huge. I have a lot of respect for that. Troy, I got into the sport early 2000s, 2000 to 2002, and Troy Lee was extremely established at that point. When did it go from you were simply painting and customizing to now we're moving into apparel and gear and everything that you guys have now? When did that shift start to happen, and what was that learning curve like as far as sourcing that out and having it manufactured and produced and just learning that side of the business?
I think my mom, we incorporated the company in 1981, got a business license and got all that. And I was, luckily for my mom, I mean, she helped me, guide me there. So a lot more business sense than I had. And I was just like, she's like, you're starting to make a little bit of money here. We gotta pay some taxes here. And I didn't even have a name for my company really. I mean, people were saying it was Troy Lee or Troy Lee Designs, but I was kind of like, man, I gotta get a cooler name, man. Troy Lee isn't cool. So that was kind of funny. My mom went and printed my business cards, and I wouldn't even hand them out. I was like, I don't want to hand them out with Troy Lee Designs. We got to come up with a better name, but it just kept, I kept signing helmets, and it just kind of fell into place. But I kept thinking I was going to come up with something really cool. But it's I think the first 5 years I just painted till I painted a lot and gave a lot of free stuff away, but after about 5 or 6 years of painting, I probably I started realizing that painting was, and it still is right now. I'm getting ready to, try to take some time off here. And I'm like, who's going to draw the work orders for the next month here,
Yeah.
And I have great artists here, but it's one of the things I enjoy the most is kind of getting into somebody's head. And it's such a privilege to sit down with, whether it's the top Supercross guy or the top IndyCar guy, or, with Hollywood, we're doing some new helmets for them for a movie. Or I love sitting down and kind of looking them in the eye and sketching with a pencil first, and then kind of picking their brains and finding out what colors they like and what they don't like. I can get just as far finding out what they don't like. A lot of people don't know what they like, but they definitely know what they don't like.
Yeah.
I started to realize, I go, man, I got to start making some product here, because I just can't work till midnight every night painting helmets. And at the time they were like $40 a piece, and it was, so I knew I needed to make some product. And I think even Mitch, making the Troy Lee t-shirt, I was even kind of weird to hand that out. It's still baffling today to see my name, Troy Lee, on. Sometimes it's overwhelming, and it's worked very well for me too. It's when I do make a phone call, usually someone picks up on the other side.
Of course,
It's great. I had to go put some sponsors together in this pandemic here, and it was amazing to reach out to some of the I sent out some proposals here to quite a few different companies, and got a phone call back from Sony, and got a phone call back from Atari Hotels, which are now our sponsors on our team. And it was pretty cool where those guys are like, no one else is looking for anything sponsorship right now. You're the only one out there swinging for this.
Yeah.
But I knew that I knew if we could pull this gas program off, it would really elevate and to me, having a 250 factory, KTM was amazing. Thanks to Roger and John Hines and Pitt and everybody, Robert Jonas and everybody from Austria believing in us. But to actually be able to have the 450 program was just, I'm like, oh my God, this is a dream come true.
Yeah, absolutely.
And then to win our first, I don't know if you saw our fake ad, and then to win the race,
yes.
was just like, oh man, I could die tomorrow and be okay.
It's a perfect transition, because that's the next thing I really want to dive into is the team. We're gonna take a very quick break, do a little bit of business, and when we come back, we're gonna dive into the Troy Lee gas factory team and where that came from. And you'd brought up Atari Hotels and Sony Pictures. I've noticed those logos, and I feel like nobody's brought that question up as far as, hey, where did these come from? What is this? Because it's names that you don't see in the sport. So I want to dive into that. We'll be right back with Troy Lee. Fly Racing's 2021 line has been improved and expanded, offering the industry's widest range of moto and off-road products. Led by the revolutionary Formula helmet featuring Rheon technology, Fly Racing has taken big steps forward with the all-new Light Pant and Zone Pro goggle. It's going to debut this year at the Monster Energy Supercross by Justin Brayton and the Muck-Off Honda team. The Zone Pro goggle delivers premium performance from a brand you know and trust, fearless pursuit, Fly Racing. It's personally the gear that I wear. I've worn it moto, BMX, mountain bike. I've worn it and repped it for years. In my opinion, it's the best. Be sure to check out their goggle, their helmet, and all their gear. Fly Racing. Hey, big shout out to our friends at FMF. Little D and the guys are always doing some pretty exciting things, not just with the performance products, but man, they've got the coolest apparel in the game, and I want to give you guys an opportunity to get that at a little bit of a discount. If you go to FMF and pick up any gear you'd like, hats, shirts, whatever it is, upon checkout, if you enter the code MMP30, MMP30, you can get 30% off. So MMP30 at checkout and get 30% off your order on FMF apparel. All right, welcome back to the Moto Marketing Podcast. We've got Troy Lee with us from Troy Lee Designs. Just an incredible, journey that Troy has had, and one of the cool things that I think is just, the cherry on top to what you've done in the sport is you've created this successful brand, you've created all kinds of amazing product, and you've got just an insane reputation. And now, you venture into team ownership, and obviously, you had the lights team with KTM, and then this year it goes to another level with, the excitement of gas coming into this sport, and that is obviously the brand that you guys represent. And I think where it hit me was the Motocross, Moto Spy, or whatever the show is that Red Bull does, and Wes and all those guys do an amazing job. And they told that story, and they captured your emotion after Barcia's win. And man, I rewatched that 10-second clip 4 or 5 times because you were just over the moon, and it's people don't get to really see you that much. And when I do get to see you and you're just that excited, it was a really cool moment. So talk to me about that team. Obviously you had the lights team. Was it a dream come true when it became, the big class team and you've got a marquee rider? What was that moment like for you when you were like, man, is this a childhood dream that you just realized, or what was that like?
Yeah, for sure. It was a stepping stone. I started, once I got my business going, I'll go back just a little bit on that, but
sure.
we started riding Supermoto really with Scott Russell and then Jeff Ward, and then we kind of did that Supermoto program for a while, and then the economy went in the tank in 2008, so Honda gave us bikes to go Supercross riding just West Coast, and so it's been, a step at a time, and I think that's how it got me there. We'd all of a sudden just didn't, doing the Supermoto thing, me racing myself and Jeremy McGrath and Jeff Ward and Chris Fillmore and David Pingree and getting my feet wet with all that and having the tools and the rigs and everything else. Since that happened, it's just then we did the Honda thing, and then we did the West Coast, then we did the Outdoor Nationals, and we hired Ben Townley, and then we got the opportunity to have the factory program with KTM from Roger DeCoster and Pitt Buyer, and that was just a dream come true too. Also, I'm like, wow, we're the factory team finally in the 250 class, and won quite a few races. Didn't win some championships there yet, but we will. And then when this gas program came up, Stephen Pierre bought gas 6 months ago, so probably a year ago now here, and they were interested in us running it, and I said, if you guys would help us with a 450 factory team, that's my, I always dream as big as I can dream, and if I fall a little short, I'm okay, but that was my dream to put a factory 450 rider on it, and it definitely, we went through some up and downs, jumping around. We thought we lost we did lose Barcia. We got Barcia back. We put some bids in for some other riders, but when we finally got Barcia, I was like, I was like, we're going to win Anaheim, man. We're going to Anaheim and we're going to win, and it was a little sketchy because half my crew was like, man, are we going to be racing in this pandemic? And I'm like, we're going to be racing. We're going to come out of this. And we got the fastest guy. And this guy wins opening round. That's why we hired this guy. And he just fits our brand so well. He's such a nice guy just to go out and go mountain biking with and everything else. And then when I got the news from Tyler Keefe that they canceled Anaheim, I was super furious. I was like, gosh, all my planning and dreams kind of just went down the tank. And then I just said, I sat with Jeremy Millard having coffee, and I went, let's reenact it. Let's just, if they're not doing it, we're going to win it. Let's just have fun with it. And that was a big endeavor too, especially jumping into the 450 class, kind of going all eyes on us I was kind of going, am I doing the right thing, doing a fake ad that we're going to win Anaheim? But I knew we'd get some huge marketing out of it. And I knew we'd get a lot of smiles. And I knew this is a once in a lifetime endeavor,
Absolutely.
When we did that, and then from there going to win the opening round, I mean, it was just it was a dream come true, man. It was just I couldn't believe it. I just yeah. Still get teary-eyed thinking about it, man. It was just I guess what's so good about I'm a racer. My dad was a racer, and I never made it to the level I wanted. So I just really love giving back to the sport, and I really love I love racers, man. Their attitudes, and that's why I love the mix is the racing and the art, and they're just, when you're a racer, man, you can just be smack on your face and go and question yourself, going, what am I doing? And then you got to get back up and go at it again. I think it just really creates, great people, strong individuals.
The clip from the Red Bull series where, you were interacting with Justin after he had won. I think you guys were back at the rig at that point and at the pit. And it was just cool. Like, you guys were kind of just the excitement between both of you. And I could tell right then and there that you genuinely like Justin and get along with him. You could tell just from that clip, and you spoke highly of him as well. What is it? Obviously, each rider is very different and very unique. And Justin has this persona and personality all of his own. And it seems like he's somebody that you genuinely enjoy being around. What is it about Justin that really kind of resonates with you? Because it seems like he's more than just an employee, more than just a rider of yours. Like, there's something else there. What is it that stands out in your opinion of him?
Well, he's just a charger, man. I mean, he's good with people. He fits our brand, but he's one of those guys that comes in and if anything, we try to calm him down, but he's just like, I've never, even talking to Roger DeCosta, usually Roger gives us some direction on what trainers we need to do, hire and what we need to do. He's a lot wiser than I am. And he's like, whatever Justin's doing, don't stop it.
Yeah.
Because that guy is charging harder at the end than anybody else.
Yeah.
That's what I love. I mean, no matter where he's at, he's going as hard as he can go,
Yeah.
It's fun. I feel like I give 100% and what I'm doing, and Tyler and all of our boys on the crew out there are 100%, dedicated to what they're doing. And you need to have that rider that falls in that same category,
Yeah.
And I think we got a lot of good riders this year. I'm just super, if we can keep them safe. Our 250 guys are struggling a little bit, but both those guys are really fast. And, I don't know. We just feel like we're in a good spot, and I just think we keep swinging, and we're gonna accomplish some great things.
It's been interesting just to kind of watch your guys' journey this season. I mean, Justin's obviously had a really strong season, but it's even when he's not at the top of the box, a lot of the times it's in the media and in the pre-race shows. It's a lot of times all eyes on your team, and I think a lot of it is you guys are that fun, exciting new brand, and you've really owned it and stepped into that role. And I think Justin complements that. And then everything you've done, and then you have these unique sponsors that I mentioned earlier. Nobody has really talked about Sony and Atari in a year that we just came off of the year previous to where we had lost a couple of teams. Here's Troy Lee bringing in some of the most unique sponsors that I think our sport has ever seen. And I wasn't sure if that was just maybe they have a relationship with them and there's something there, because I've heard stories of, logos getting put on teams and there's not necessarily financial backing behind it. I don't know how true all that stuff is, but it sounds like you genuinely leveraged your relationships and contacts and were able to bring in some just astonishing brands that normally aren't into the sport. Can you talk a little bit about those two sponsors specifically and how that came about?
Yeah, I mean, Sony's, really, met him out bicycle riding, Josh, and really just we have a project coming up here, and I haven't talked about it here, but I always like trying to mix a couple things together here. So on the Sony side, we're coming out with Venom helmets and gear that we're going to run at Washougal this year for the launch of their new movie.
Wow, that's awesome.
So, which that's the part of being an artist really pays off, because I'm super excited to, even to work with Tom Hardy, is amazing, and now we're talking about what the Spider-Man movie for next year, and if we can race in these gears and help launch a new movie and come out with cool product that's authentic too, it makes all the sense in the world to me. So I really heard this showed up here, so I don't know if it's but this is a new helmet that we'll be running.
Wow.
So it's not for everybody, but I think
awesome.
It's going to look so cool on Barsha, man. He'll be able to pull this off,
For sure.
Of course, he's going to have Red Bull up here and a couple other sponsors on there, but it's going to be a limited run of helmets, a limited run of gear, and a limited run of gloves. And we're also, what I'm excited about is opening up to a whole new audience, to the Marvel comic audience. That's not our forte right now, but I think we're going to get a whole new audience,
For sure.
So I just love working with the movie studios and seeing how we can work together. We got another project we did with a new movie called Stuntman that's coming out that we did with Eddie Braun. He's a stuntman, and his idol was the Evel Knievel. So we painted the rockets, and I think that's coming out here in a couple months here. And that's then, cool. With Atari Hotels, John Lennon's a friend, and I've been painting his helmets. And so we do a lot of, I do get a lot of open leads because we work with Penske and Chip Ganassi and Jimmy Johnson and some of these guys that I work with. I paint their helmets and design their cars and suits, and he's opened up these new gaming hotels, Atari Hotels. And we've been good friends. He came to the last race with us, and just I'm working on some logos for him and some product clothing for him for the hotels, and just a little bit of everything for him. And then they don't mind putting some money into our team.
That's cool.
And he's they're motorcycle fans. Both these guys.
Yeah.
Motorcycle and bicycle fans and car racing fans. So they love to put their logo onto something cool, and I love to take care of them and do cool things with them.
Yeah, it's a testament to just relationships. Again, it's, we come off of a year to where we lose a couple of teams, and here you are, doing really just incredible things with the relationships that you have. It's pretty cool. So you obviously are still very involved. You're still designing and painting and doing all this stuff. How does a rider get a genuine Troy Lee helmet? Who do you pick and choose that, hey, I'm going to work with this person, or this is, I'm going to do, this person's, design for them? Are you doing all of them? Is it hard to get Troy Lee himself to actually do your helmet if you're one of the top riders of the sport? What does that look like? I've always been curious about that.
No, it's pretty easy because I do it for the public.
Yeah.
I really like that. That's part of my roots, is that's something I don't ever want to lose. And that's why I say it's the hardest thing right now for me to take a 2-month vacation here. Because I feel like it does my brain good it's a feel good thing. I feel like when I can sit down with somebody and put a smile on their face, and I love picking their brains and going, these are the colors I like. And I'm pretty efficient at it. I can usually draw something out in about a half hour. So no, they still can set up an appointment, and I can do a one-off paint job, and that's what we do. We do about 15 to 17 custom painted helmets every week. Right now we are booked like 3 months in advance, which is crazy. We've never been so booked, but it's still it's not the moneymaker for the company, but it's our roots and it's where we started. And I don't ever want to leave it. And I have I have, I think, 6 painters out there, and each one of them this guy does the characters, this guy does the gold leaf and pinstripe, this guy does the airbrushing, and each one of them is better than me.
That's awesome.
So I like to sketch out the idea, and then I let them take a little liberties. And I came in this morning before I came on with you and walked through there and looked at some of the helmets that are going through. We're doing a new one for Newgarden for IndyCar and a new one for Jimmy Johnson. And I just said, hey, that's looking good. Maybe let's brighten the yellow a little bit. Let's put a little fade here. And it's still that little personal touch that I think, makes us, really good at what we do.
Yeah. Well, I think that's part of the brand, the fact that you're still as involved almost every step of the process as day one. I mean, you say it's not the money maker, but I think it's what makes your brand as special as it is. Troy, I know you're one of the most busy guys in the sport, and I want to be respectful of your time. So as we kind of wrap this up, where do you see the team in the next year to 2-3 years? I don't want to go too far out, but you guys did some pretty cool stuff this year, and the season's not even over, and we haven't even got into outdoors yet. So what are some goals and aspirations, if you can share any, in the immediate to near future?
My goal really is, that I want to win a Supercross and a Motocross outdoor title here. We've won X Games and Super Moto titles, and that's kind of got to be the pinnacle, But I definitely, we're working on some new helmets here right now, motocross helmets, and we got some new technology coming. My other big goal is to keep, and I think that's why we push so hard on all of our safety gear. Is just keep making these sports and these athletes that I work with, whether they're car racers or motorcycle racers or bicycle racers, they're just always pushing the envelope. And most of them are, a lot of them are really good friends and have personal relationships with. And it's super important for me to keep those guys, just keep our product line, just keep improving on the safety. So that's kind of my goal here, is to keep as many athletes that we work with as safe as possible, and to make them, I want to make them as I want to push the envelope with these guys and make them as wild as possible. Because I do think when it's like working with Jeremy McGrath, man. Every time I brought him a new helmet, I feel like it just made him, 2% stronger. I put a smile on his face, and he got to put a lot of input into it with me. And I just rode mountain bikes with him yesterday, and Specialized was kind enough to give me one of the new e-bikes, and we went and rode on one of our trails that we built up here in Corona. And hanging out with my friends, we rode with Oriol Servia too. He's racing the Indy 500 this year. I love getting my mountain bike guys, my motocross guys, my IndyCar guys all together, and then bringing my Sony guys and my Atari Hotel guys in. And Kyle Washington that runs C-SPAN, he's been amazing. I have some really great friends that have really helped me along this journey.
Yeah, absolutely. Side question: What did you think of the new the Specialized Levo? I'm a big e-bike advocate and do a lot of work with Specialized myself. It's a ton of fun, isn't it?
It's the coolest toy in the world.
The coolest.
I rode it, and then I came home, and then I went and riding with Brian Lopes last night. We went and did a 2-hour ride when I got home again. On your regular, I'm a huge e-bike fan. It just got started because I got a lot of screws in my body. I had a really bad accident 80 years ago, but spent a bunch of time in a wheelchair and lucky to be back riding again. But it's that new bike is just incredible. It's incredible. Even the one before that was. I just can't believe Specialized. They just keep outdoing themselves.
For
and just
sure.
Keep making better and better stuff.
We're located in Morgantown, West Virginia, so we're obviously close with the GNCC and the Racer X crew, and I put together an e-bike team because they actually have an e-bike class for GNCC, and man, we've had a ton of fun with it the past 2 seasons, and it's always a highlight for us, and it's always cool when you find somebody else that gets the magic of an e-bike, and it's cool that you're able to get out and share those experiences with sponsors and former greats of the mountain bike world. That's cool to hear. So Troy, I mean, I really appreciate it. It's been awesome. I mean, we could go on and on and on, but I know how busy you are, and I appreciate you coming on and sharing some really cool background and just history of your journey. And I know the audience is going to really enjoy it. And it's been a pleasure chatting with you, and hope to see you at a race soon and be able to say hello.
Yeah. Peace and wheelies. Thank you very much.
That's right, man. Thanks, Troy.
Thank you for listening to the Moto Marketing Podcast. If your goal is to get real, measurable results from your marketing that will grow your company revenue, then check out how Impact Media can get the same results that they have for Moto's most iconic brands by visiting thinkimpact.com. That's THINKIMPAKT.com. Have a marketing question that you want answered on the show? Send your questions to questions@motomarketingpodcast.com. Don't forget to rate, review, and subscribe to the podcast. And we'll catch you on the next episode of the Moto Marketing Podcast.